Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. McKenna Fasteners and Tools has been the place to shop for your industrial needs for over 20 years. Carrying the tools you need to get the job done from the brands you can trust, McKenna Fasteners and Tools has you covered. Brands like Milwaukee Tool, established in 1924 and on display in our Milwaukee Red Zone, the largest red zone in Winnipeg. With construction workers and tradespeople in mind, McKenna Fasteners and Tools is your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. So come on down to our Winnipeg store location today, located on 1557 King Edward Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Good afternoon, Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League fans, and welcome into another edition of the mmjhl podcast for episode 17 in season 2 here. I'm your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth. This edition of the podcast, as always, brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, McKenna Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. This is how the first game of the week went last night. We're going to have highlights for you later on this matchup, and I'm going to be breaking it down here. 4 matchups happening in the league tonight. We're going to have one of them on our network potentially. We're hoping that we're able to live stream out of Eric Coy tonight, but that's still to be determined. We'll be recording the game either way, so it will be posted at some point here on the network, either late tonight or early tomorrow morning, let's just say after midnight probably, potentially, depending on how long it takes to get it up, to edit stuff down, stuff like that. But if it is live, puck drops at, of course, 7:30 tonight. This is how January has looked so far, and for the Transcona Railer Express, even though they're first place, it's been a bit of a rough start to their 2025 side of the schedule. They're under 500 to start the new year, and I had a chance to sit down and speak with their leading goal scorer in Nathan Turner, and asking him about the start to 2025. He gives a good insight in terms of where this team is at right now. Also great to learn about just his history here in the league and how he's come to be the player he is today. We also talk about the upcoming big matchup that they have tonight against the Fort Garry Twins, and more here coming up on the mmjhl podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Nathan Turner joining the show next. Number 23, leading goal scorer on the Transcona Railer Express, Nathan Turner, joining this edition of the MMJHL podcast. Nathan, we had a chance to take a look at this Railer Express team last Sunday on an MMJHL game day stream where we broadcasted your boys' loss to the Charleswood Hawks. So one where, one could argue that this Transcona Railer Express team let slip away. Take me through what exactly went down for, it to end up that way with this team falling in OT after being up by one in the third.
Yeah, our second half hasn't been great so far. I mean, not up to the standards that we've kind of like to be at. I think we played a good game on Sunday. We were in it the whole game, a couple disallowed goals and a couple calls didn't go our way, but you can't really bank on that. But a late third period penalty, kind of they tied up on the power play with 3 minutes left, and going into OT with momentum is always a big thing. So one we'd like to have back, especially against Charleswood, 2 points that we really do need. But at the end of the day, we got the 1 point. We're gonna walk with it and just look forward now.
You basically said, this team struggling right now, right? To start off 2025, arguably, and I would say the most consistent team in the 2024 half of the schedule. Do you feel like at this point, maybe it could be a bit of pressure catching up teams given their best more so now that this team is at top to start things off? Have you felt teams kind of playing this Railer Express team differently as the season's gone along?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I think when you're at the top, everyone's kind of reaching to be up there with you. We've been at the top for just about all season, so I think it's a little bit of maybe we peaked too high and we're kind of just not at a plateau or anything, but we always want to reach for more. And I mean, our first half was really good. Can't complain with it. We had 20 wins before the Christmas break. So I mean, I think a lot of teams are getting better. They're kind of figuring out their play more, whereas we've kind of had ours going all season long. But at the same time, we know that we still have trust in our group. We still do have a very good team, and we deserve to be at the top. We're gonna finish at the top, and I think we're good where we're at right now. And yeah, I mean, our start in the second half hasn't been great, but 13 games left, and I think we're definitely gonna get it figured out.
Oh, for sure. Definitely a lot of time left. What do you feel is going to be, I guess, the spark that this team may need to get back rolling, get some confidence in that win column back?
Our goal scoring hasn't been great lately. Early on in the year, we were scoring tons of goals. Honestly, we weren't playing a ton of close games. We were blowing teams out, and I think now we're in a lot of closer games. So it's kind of getting used to having to win those games in the third period, just like we saw on Sunday against Charleswood, having like a 1 goal lead or being in a tie game. It's a little different than we've been used to in the first half. And same with scoring early. I think I find that our team, when we score first, we're much better off than playing from behind, but again, it's just those tight games that we got to get used to being battling it out, treating every game like a playoff game now that we're kind of down the stretch here.
You point that out, this team scoring first. That's been a huge talking point every time we've covered this team. And yeah, I mean, for this team goal scoring wise, you've been at the top of the rank so far this year. 21 goals, which is a career best in the season for yourself. Over a point per game right now, getting top 6 minutes in your fourth year now with this Transcon Railer Express team. What's it been like, with all the years on your belt, doing the things you've been able to do so far this year with this squad?
Yeah, definitely kind of just trusting the process and coming in. I played at 17 when I was still in grade 12 in high school. So, I mean, I wasn't getting tons of ice. I wasn't really looked at as one of those guys who needs to be scoring and putting up points. And I kind of focused more on my defensive play. I play center. I've always been good at faceoffs, focusing on the little things like that and just slowly letting the offensive side come to me. And I mean, I've always been able to score goals, but first 3 years I just wasn't really finding it. And I find that this year I've just kind of found my way of putting the puck in the net. I definitely don't score the flashiest or the nicest goals like a couple guys on our team or in this league do, but when it comes to putting a puck in the net that's there, I find that just this year I'm getting my bounces. My line mate, Trey Son, I can't give him enough credit. He puts it on a platter for me night in, night out. So without a guy like that, I'm definitely not putting up as many goals as I am. But yeah.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out who keeps wanting Trey to come on this show. There's a lot of comments that we've been getting actually, specifically during Transcon Railer Express live streams. But going into that, you have a chance to play with Trey, of course. Carter Johansson, too. Like you said, Trey being the passer he is, the scorer you are. It seems like, it's a really good mix. But how do you feel like all three of you, truly contribute to make the best out of things on the ice with each other?
Yeah, like exactly like you said. I mean, I wouldn't say that we quite have specific roles, but Trey's a good, he has an unreal shot actually as well, but he's a playmaker. He'll set everyone up. And Carter Johansson, we call him Tank. Like the guy just runs around full speed. He'll beat anyone in a corner. He'll run over a guy that's a foot bigger than him, 100 pounds heavier. That's another guy that you're not going to have success without guys like that on your roster. He can play up and down our lineup, and when I do get the chance to play with him on my line, it's an honor. He buzzes around night in, night out. Same thing. He's always F1. He's always the first guy on the puck. You can count on him to win any battle, and it honestly makes life so much easier playing with a guy like that.
Yeah, and you'll have to see that for sure, right? The guy that's going to do all the right things, right, in terms of getting into those dirty areas, making things happen, like you said, physically. But for yourself, you spoke about the development that you took in your game, focusing more on the little things, the defensive side of things. Given the situation you were in, of course, a younger player, I guess we'll go back to, I guess, how it came to be that you ended up joining the Transcona Railer Express at the age of 17.
Yeah, I'm Transcona kid. I've always grown up watching the team. A buddy of mine, his dad used to be the coach, so I'd go out and when I was 10 years old on bus trips with them to PV and kind of just I was always a big fan growing up. Always wanted to play here. It's kind of just where I've always wanted to end up and finish my career off. So yeah, when I was 17, when I was in high school in grade 12 there, I got invited to camp from Derek Geggs. Came to camp and kind of just showed what I had. And like I said, I wasn't really brought onto our team to be the top six guy, goal scorer, or anything, but I played third, fourth line that year. I think I played 44 to the 45 games and kind of just worked my way up the ranks.
Yeah, and obviously now you're probably the most well-rounded you've been, right, in your time in the MMJHL in terms of what you can do offensively and defensively. Do you feel like, too, you getting the opportunities you're getting now is from that trust that's been built up throughout these past 3 seasons? Derek Gagnon, knowing that you can contribute defensively and giving you more freedom offensively this year.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think that every play does start in the defensive zone. So, I mean, if you can be trustworthy and be a good guy who is good defensively, you're going to get more time in the O zone. You're going to get more chances. You're going to get more looks. And then with that comes the ice time as well. If you're a guy who your coaches know they can lean on you and trust you in any moment, whether it's a penalty kill or last couple minutes of the game, it's just always going to give you more chances to be out there when they know that they can put you in any moment, any situation. And I feel I'm kind of at that point now where depending on the night that I'm having, I mean, everyone's going to have an off night, but if I'm playing my best game and how I like to be playing, I think I can play at any moment of any game.
Yeah, and I mean, for sure, this team's going to need big contributions from you on both ends of the ice, as well as the rest of the team to buy into this next matchup. Coming up against the Fork Area Twins, one of the top teams in the league. For this squad, of course, looking to bounce back from that, I guess, tough 2 losses in a row now, losing to St. Vital last Thursday, as well as that game against Charleswood. But for Gary, a team with a lot of skill, this team looking to get back in the win column in Transcona. How is this Transcona Railer Express team, I guess, approaching this upcoming matchup in the weekend in general?
Yeah, we skated Tuesday, we skate again tonight, and just preparing like any other weekend. We obviously know it is a big weekend with them just behind us, and they're a hot team. They've got a really good roster. They got a lot of guys who can score and play the right way. But I mean, just like every other weekend, we're gonna come out high energy, keep our feet moving. We're a really fast team, and so are they. So kind of just make sure that we've all got our heads in the right space and ready to come prepared to the rink and play a good hockey game. But yeah, no panic or anything. I think we're all ready to go and we're excited, honestly. It's a big matchup and I think a lot of guys in our team kind of strive in those bigger games.
Nathan, I'll leave you off with this question. We spoke about earlier the struggles to start 2025 for this team. Like you said, game's a lot tighter. This team was winning a lot of games by quite a good margin early on in the season. With the experience this team has had, I guess being a younger group, but with some experience heading into this year, making the playoffs last year, now being in first place in the league. How is this team, I guess, looking to take this as a learning experience to build off of, the struggles that have started to plague them, I guess, in 2025, to use it as a learning tool, some experience moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hockey and sports in general full of ups and downs. I mean, honestly, it's better to have the bit of a downs right now and then kind of be on our way back up leading into playoffs. You don't want to be winning every week and every night as nice as it is. You kind of do want to have some adversity. So I think it's good for our team to battle with a little adversity as long as we're able to come out on the upside and just trusting what our coaches have for game plans and whatever the process they have us going through is. And I think all of us trust whatever they're telling us. We're all going to stick to the plan and as long as we stick to whatever they're saying, I think we're gonna have success.
And like you said, plenty of seasons still have to be played, about 13 games left or so for this Transcona Railer Express team, a team which will also be broadcasting their home game on Sunday afternoon against the Royal Knights, the River East Royal Knights, that is. Nathan Turner, leading goal scorer, number 23 for the Transcona Railer Express, joining this edition of the MMJHL podcast. Nathan, thanks for taking the time, and best of luck this upcoming weekend, you and the rest of the boys.
Thank you.
Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has been the place to shop for your industrial needs for over 20 years. Carrying the tools you need to get the job done from the brands you can trust, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools has you covered. Brands like Milwaukee Tool, established in 1924 and on display in our Milwaukee Red Zone, the largest red zone in Winnipeg. With construction workers and tradespeople in mind, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools is your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. So come on down to our Winnipeg store location today, located on 1557 King Edward Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And welcome back to this edition of the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League podcast, brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Terrico, Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, and Goaltenders. For Goaltenders, your personal video review service. For Mid-Canada Fasteners and Tools, of course, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Thank you to all of them for continuing to support us here on the network and our continuing coverage on this great hockey league here in the Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League. As G-Show Productions was on air last night for this matchup between the St. Patel Junior Victorias and the Stonewall Jets, which saw Stonewall take it home, as we will be getting into the highlights right away here. This is how January has looked, and that win for the Stonewall Jets, by the way, as we'll actually leave this on the screen for a bit longer so you can get a good look at it. But as you can see, it for the Stonewall Jets, it wasn't the greatest start to the month for them. Definitely their strongest game so far against a top 5 opponent right now in the in the St. Patel Junior Victorias, as this is how the standings look. Heading into this weekend's action, into the 4 matchups tonight, as we'll get into the highlights right now from last night's matchup. So we'll actually have to resize things here. One moment. As we will restart. So, yeah, in the first period, the Stonewall Jets, a nice pass locating number 27 Kai Smith in front for a redirect, as Stonewall would go up 1-0 early on, just under 8 minutes in. But just under 30 seconds later, the Vics work this puck in. Tyler Rubini and Luke Elliott go to work, as Elliott does turn over this puck down low, but cuts off the boards, that angle there, takes it to the net and tucks it home with the 5-hole. Later on, the Jets would get on the power play and score Carson King to put this team up 2-1. And heading to the 3-1 goal, beautiful pass by Stoven, fakes out the whole Vic's defensive team there to find a wide open Cohen Cheng in front of the net. But Cohen Cheng wouldn't be done there, as 5 seconds later this would happen. Victorias, the Jets finding ways to suck them into one side of the ice to open up another side, as here we go again, Chang flips it over, scores! The Jets go. Alex Kaczorowski burns the Victoria's D to find a wide open Cohen Chang in front. Not the cleanest shot for Chang, but he'll take it as he fools Penner with it. Speaking of Penner, before we get to that, the Victorias end up taking a timeout to calm things down. The Vics would get within 1, and right here's potentially the save of the year. Penner sprawling out, making that save with the paddle, as it was a highlight reel for number 29. But on the next big opportunity for the Stonewall Jets, Penner wouldn't be as lucky, as he ends up making a save out of position as he couldn't regain his balance. A wide open Cole Emberley in the slot puts it home. Austin Larenko and Carson King would score the insurance markers in the third period to put this team up 7-3 to take it home, 7-3. And by the way, Penner taking a lot of skill to make that save, not just luck. Of course, luck always kind of plays into factor like that, right? Because like they got so much wide open net and they just happen to hit your paddle. But a great save made by Penner and sprawling out to make it. Like that takes a tremendous amount of poise and skill to make that type of save under the pressure the Vicks were there. On what I believe was a power play opportunity for the Stonewall Jets team. Actually, it wasn't, as the only penalty that was taken in that second period was to Brady Jaquette. But for the Victorias, like this was a team that, if we take a look at the shots once again, they were close in this one. They get off to a 4-1 deficit in the first, which was definitely huge, and I think that Cole Emberley goal was the kind of backbreaker for this Victoria's team. Of course, the 2 insurance goals in that third period sealed the deal for Stonewall. But yeah, when we take a look at the score sheet, like 3 power play goals allowed for the Victorias on the night. This team already has one of the weakest penalty kills in the league. The weakest right now, ranking 10th and dropping down after this one, giving up 3 chances, 3 power play goals on 8 power play opportunities against, and they kind of, start to lose their heads in that third period, taking some unnecessary penalties. I think that Brady Jaquette hit that knocks Ryland Slatcher out of the game. Of course, the hit knocks Jaquette out of the game because he gets called for a game misconduct on, but it's just things like that. The Vicks continuing to run into penalty trouble, and when you're shorthanded, already down by 2, and you're shorthanded so much in the third period, it doesn't make things easy on you. I thought that Penner had a overall pretty solid performance, but there were even times where he misjudged some angles. The puck would ricochet off his shoulder and go off the crossbar. There was one time where I think it ricocheted off his shoulder into the back of the net in this matchup. And yeah, just some shots that ended up fooling him, obviously. Some chances that he'd like to have back. But for the Victorias overall, their biggest downfall last year, in my opinion, was defensively not that sound in their own end. And they started off kind of strong in their own end this season, but this is a team, if we take a look in the standings, that for as much as they score, they give up almost as much. And we saw last night, this team, caught puck watching, it doesn't help out in the zone, right? I feel like they could play much sounder in a defensive system that when they're on, it's on, and they have success. And we've seen it against teams like the St. Boniface Riels early in the season, how they were able to frustrate them and keep all their real quality chances, which weren't quality chances, to the outside, right? But yeah, for the Vicks, just getting sucked into one side like we saw many times last night, leaving too many people open, and when your puck movement and your first pass out isn't strong as well, we're going to see things like this happen. And when they were a few men down already, with Ryland Netwaduke out of the lineup, Connor Mitchell wasn't in the lineup as well. Definitely going to take a lot more effort, more grit for this team, and better decisions to win games like this against a Stonewall Jets team that is, of course, pushing for a playoff spot and looking to secure it, with the Vicks already being one of the teams to clinch. I think that, this is a good wake-up call for the Vicks heading into the weekend, as they'll have a matchup coming up here as we take a look against the Pembina Valley Twisters and Morris on Sunday night, a matchup where, the Vicks should win it on paper pretty handily. If we take a look at the standings here, Pembina Valley is not strong whatsoever this season. To say it how it is, it's been just one of those years for Pembina Valley. This is a game the Vicks, I think, need potentially for their confidence here. Losers of 2 in a row at this point in the season. I want to insert a clip here. One of our viewers sent this to us, and I forgot to cover this last week, but I think I got to address it. I'm not sure if this is what kept him out of the lineup or not. I try to find it here. But yeah, I've been critical of this player in this league many times before. As I'll look to flip it around here, but yeah, you can already see it. So we pause it. How do I do this here? There we go. So yeah, we're gonna try to get this as best as possible. I didn't have a chance to put this in before, but here, we'll put it side of the screen right here. So this was in last Thursday's game on the network between the Victorias and the Transcona Railer Express, and for a player in Connor Mitchell who plays with an edge in his game, and that's one of the qualities of why this Vix team likes him, is he plays with an edge in his game, and sometimes things he does is within the means of the rules, but in this case I don't believe a penalty gets called here, and we overlooked it completely on the broadcast. As mentioned, one of our viewers sent this in, and this isn't the first time where he's crossed the line. Let's take a look. So right here, boom, right into the numbers of Trey Sullen. Goes into his own goaltender, in terms of Mitchell's own goaltender, in Ethan Penner. And I don't even think Penner realizes that Mitchell cross-checks him, Trey Sullen into him, as, Penner was concentrated on playing the puck. But if we play it again, it's just an unnecessary play. First of all, it's a cross-check. Second of all, look at the distance between the boards when he makes this play, right? Penner being there almost saves Sullen, to be honest with you, because at the speed they're going at, even though I guess Sullen lays off, but that's an unnecessary cross-check that could have seriously injured a player in Trey Sullen, which, of course, it doesn't matter what player it is, but it's an important player, and this has been their trend of Connor Mitchell doing stuff like this. I think the most egregious thing outside of that I've seen from him this season has been the time he speared Dean Gorchinski in the balls. Like, it's unnecessary, and Dean Gorchinski was kind of giving him the business before, giving Connor Mitchell a taste of his own medicine in terms of the stuff that Mitchell likes to do, giving players, a shot after maybe they hit him and stuff like that. I think beforehand, Gorchinski ends up maybe giving him a pat on the head, which is pretty cheeky, and then Mitchell responds with that. It's reckless play. Again, I'm not sure why he was out of the lineup last night, but if Mitchell continues to do stuff like this, like, where's the accountability from the St. Vital Junior Victorias, the accountability from the league? Because someone is seriously going to get injured and hurt, and luckily Sullen wasn't, and Penner wasn't hurt on that as well, because he gets cross-checked into it. But there's a certain line in the game, right? And we've all seen disturbers, let's just call it that. Players that like to get under other players' skin. We've seen it in the NHL in players like Brad Marchand, right? Players like maybe a Tom Wilson in the modern day, for example. And some of those players have even crossed the line. But, there's players out there that toe the line that don't cross it. And Mitchell has crossed the line at multiple points this year in terms of what should be allowed and what shouldn't be. And, he's someone I've been critical of many times here on the network because of stuff like this. And it's either going to result, if it continues, in someone on the other team getting hurt, or Mitchell getting hurt himself with the other team coming back and retaliating. How long is it going to take until someone has enough? We've already seen it this year with Tazio Cianflone. After Dean Gorchinski got speared in the balls in that game back in, I believe it was October, some point at 2024. But yeah, more accountability, I think, for that type of action is warranted. And hey, luckily we have video now, so we can expose stuff like this. And it doesn't matter which player it is, but in this case, it just happens to be Connor Mitchell once again. So we take a look at the standings here. St. Vital Junior Victoria is in a playoff spot, of course, and a team that, of course, looking to bounce back coming up on Sunday against the Pembina Valley Twisters in Morris, Manitoba. Coverage gets started there at 7 p.m. We'll be on deck for Transcona against the River East Royal Knights. Coming up on Sunday afternoon at East End Arena, coverage will start at 2 p.m. there. Pre-game will start a bit beforehand. Speaking of more highlights, we're going to show you some highlights from Victoria's Raiders, a matchup that happened a few weeks ago on the network, a few Sundays ago now, as our MMJHL podcast, episode 17, season 2 coverage continues. Good afternoon, Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League fans, and welcome. Corner now. Absolute chaos transpiring here. So it'll be reverse grip for Netchwaduke and a face-off win for him with that strategy this time. Ruben, he tries going back door, rebound there, scores! Is that now taken away? Whiteside trying to bust through the D, almost does just that. Gretzky strong with him though, all the way down, rid him out into the boards. From the corner by Savoy, Lenoski feeds this with one hand to Henry. Henry up to the point to Larvell. Larvell the cross now to DeSouza, into the slot, into the skates of Henry, turned aside by Penner. This stripped away, poked away by Netchwaduke, and picked up by Larenko. Circles towards the close boards, up to Lenoski. He has that taken away again. The Vic sent it all the way down, and a fortunate bounce. It goes into the back of the net, as is Blake Gretzky will be credited with the goal to give the Vics a 2-goal advantage here. 22.3 seconds away from completing a 4-1 season series record against this rival for them and the Raiders, who once again gave them everything that the Vics could handle. They were down 3-0 to start off this game in the first period, but the Vics got it. Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry upper deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store. Welcome back to the mmjhl podcast, everybody. A bit embarrassing there. We turned off the wrong sound setting. You heard our mic there. For the first half of those highlights that we're just seeing Vics versus Raiders, as yeah, what a game that was between the two sides at the time. As for, what's coming up this week in the league, as we take a look there. Sunday, there's going to be 5 games. On Wednesday, that's going to be the rescheduled game between the Charleswood Hawks and Raiders Junior Hockey Club. That was supposed to happen last Friday. Got canceled due to the storm in Manitoba, creating a bunch of havoc on the highways and the roads, aka closing highways and roads. So, yeah, 2 games ended up being canceled in the MM. One of them ended up being replayed on Wednesday, where the St. Boniface Reals won 11-1 over the Pembina Valley Twisters, which, what a dominant victory there from one of the best teams in the league in St. Boniface. They're in action, of course, tonight at Iroquois to take on the Charleswood Hawks in a battle of 2 top 4 teams here in the mmjhl. Once again, we'll show you how January has been going so far. Start off with an OT matchup between the Hawks and the Victorias. There's been 4 games that have gone to overtime so far during this new year. One of those games also going to a shootout. Charleswood, that 7-6 victory on the 10th over the Fort Garry Twins. But yeah, as we've seen some close games, we've seen some blowouts in this new year. As Nathan Turner talked about, a lot more close games for the Transcona Railer Express. which I think serves them well in the long run. This is a team that, even though they have a lot of players back, it's still a young team and hasn't gone through the same type of adversity in the past few seasons as maybe teams as the Charleswood Hawks, the St. Boniface Riels, potentially the experiences that they've gone through, as I'm trying to say. But yeah, for Transcona, the Railer Express, a team that I guess did go through some adversity last season in terms of having to, you know, go down to the wire in terms of making the last playoff spot. It got close. They only made it over 1 point over the Stonewall Jets, but this is a type of different adversity for them now, where they're at the top. Teams are gunning for them, and they got to learn how to close out games once again here in the new year for them to have their best chance of success moving forward. For Gary Charleswood, all points within them in terms of being able to potentially catch them in the standings. I believe Charleswood would jump over Transcona in the standings with a win tonight, and if Transcona didn't come away with one, as they're now tied in the head-to-head category, but I'm not too sure what the other tiebreakers would be in terms of maybe it's goals for, goals against. We'll have to do some research on that to have that information ready for next episode. But we'll get into the points leaders here, brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, your premier sports cards and memorabilia store here in the city of Winnipeg. Be sure to visit their store location, 995 Milt Siegel Drive, as well as their website at cancentralsportscards.com. Two twins on top, two Vicks in the top five of the points right there. As you can see, Keegan Gordon's still the wins leader in the league here in terms of goaltenders. And if we take a look at the goal leaders, it's getting tight in the top five. Three-way tie for third there. Gorchinski, Hugan, Bateman, all with 21 goals. Three twins in this top five, as you can see. Rubini still at the top there, tied now with Carter Hallaman. Darius Gorchinski leads the way in the assist category, but look at that. Connor Davis, captain of the St. Boniface Riels, has jumped up to a tie for third in assists with 36, along with Rylan Etchwood. Once again, brought to you by Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia. These are the games for Sunday, of course, as mentioned. These are the games coming up tonight. Be sure to check out mmjhl.ca for all the details regarding upcoming matchups for the rest of the regular season here as we get closer and closer to playoffs, with, of course, 5 teams so far clinching their spot. St. James, Stonewall, and the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, the last remaining teams not to clinch in playoff spots right now, hoping to join those 5 very soon. We're going to send it to one more transition, and then I'll be back here for some final words on this edition of the MMJHL podcast on G Show Productions on gshow.ca. Well, you made it to the end of the MMJHL podcast here on G Show Productions. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Nathan Turner for coming on this edition of the show and being the guest for this week's episode. Special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning into this one as well. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads here regarding the MMJHL on your home for hockey in Manitoba on G Show Productions. Also consider leaving a like if you enjoyed this one. All of those things, subscribing and liking this episode and our content helps get the word out and maybe recommends it to more people that could be interested in this content in YouTube's algorithms. So yeah, we'd appreciate that. But if not, hope you stick around for, of course, the upcoming weekend of content that we have. 2 MMJHL game day broadcast, as well as the MMJHL podcast coming out, I guess, next Thursday, or we might push it back to Friday again. It really depends on how things work out. But yeah, great weekend ahead of MMJHL game day, of course. As mentioned, tonight's stream may not be live streamed. We may be having to record it due to potential internet difficulties at Iroquois Arena, but we'll have to wait and see for that. Special thanks to McKen Fasters and Tools, Terrico Goaltenders, and Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia for sponsoring another edition of this podcast and continuing to support the coverage of Manitoba Major Junior Hockey League content here on G Show Productions. As for us, we're going to get ready now for, well, we got an edition of the MFHL podcast coming up. Going to get some interviews done for tomorrow's edition of the Manitoba Hockey Podcast, and as well as getting set for tonight's edition of MMJHL Game Day and the weekend ahead. Hope you all have a great weekend, as it should be a fun one ahead here. Stay safe, stay warm, everybody, and enjoy all the great hockey coming your way. Until this next week coming up, until next week, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, waving so long and peacing out here on this Friday morning. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next time.